Good morning or afternoon. This is Reverend Pam Geagan from the Center for Spiritual Living Pleasant Valley in Camarillo, California. And we are so grateful that you're with us today to share this virtual experience that we've been having since of COVID. So I am so excited today because we have again a wonderful people joining us, and that's Reverend Betty Ann, our assistant minister, Reverend Betty Ann Brennan. We have Danny Berkman from San Francisco joining us with Cora and other instruments. We have Buzz Noe and Lynn Noe. And I just want to give a shout out to Marcia Beebe too for doing all of the behind the scenes work, and also to Spencer Geagan. So does everybody want to join and say hi? Hey, hi.
Hello.
Glad to have you all there. Hi. Spencer, you should join too. Everybody see your handsome face, but you don't have to. Okay. Okay. Anyway, the other thing is that I would like to introduce who we are really. We are the Center for Spiritual Living. Our larger vision statement is awakening humanity to its spiritual magnificence. Our personal statement at our center is teaching and demonstrating spiritual principles for living an abundant and fulfilling life in a welcoming and compassionate community. And every week, we have our candles of faith, and our candles of faith, we they honor all faiths. We believe there is one power, one presence, one heart, one mind. I call it God. You can call it whatever you want, but we honor all paths to that source. You can call it the divine source. You can call it the thing itself, Buddha, Krishna, Muhammad, Baha'u'llah, whatever you want to call it. It is the thing itself. And so we want you to know that all are welcome here with their hearts open and their minds open, and to be connected to that greater idea of the divinity that lies within and is waiting to open up within each and every one of us. And so every week, our wonderful Reverend Betty Ann has a quote for us. And so, Betty Ann, will you read that to us now?
Everything fits together seamlessly to support my creative expression. God is, I am. My path is made clear.
Thank you. Thank you. And now it is my honor to also introduce our wonderful Reverend Betty Ann with an opening treatment to just center ourselves to be immersed in the rest of this talk.
Well, just relax and open your mind and let everything go. This will be in the first person, so follow along and personalize it. There is one infinite power working in this world through and as everything. And we are one with that, not with it, but of it. And so we are all one in this great creative experience. I know that all is really well in everything. I know that my path is made clear by visioning and by looking and by coming from spirit. I recognize that spirit is the greatest to have around. And so I move from that. And it's just the soul. And with that is love. Love is all there is. So we may experience that love. And that love has a healing to it, has a freeing to it, has safe in it. So love is our expression throughout now and the day. I do give thanks for this understanding, for this principle, for this everything working out in love. My life is unfolding perfectly, no matter what. And so I give thanks and I turn these words over to that infinite creative power, building us an ever greater, ever improving, ever lovable atmosphere. And so it is. Thank you.
Oh, it is. And so it is. And so it is to not only today is we're honoring Memorial Day, it is Memorial Day weekend for all those our fallen heroes and all those who have worked so hard. And we brought back a song. It's a rendition of We Shall Overcome with Nemo Patel and Daniel Nahmod. So just enjoy this, knowing that we too will go beyond this COVID pandemic, and we are coming up bigger, better, badder, stronger every single moment of every single day. Enjoy.
It's burning inside, the hurting and the suffering. Minds creating anger, fear and pain, suffocating our times. The tougher it gets, the rougher social media cries. But we see to it that we tweeting only negative lines. We're sick and tired of history, but repeating it twice. Greed, anger and violence, clearly stealing our nights. Feeling it tight between the shoulders with a chill in the spine. Pinching myself, waking up, trying to stop the rewind and move forward towards stories, overcoming our fears. Choosing love over hate, praying, trading hugs over tears. There's only one choice, breaking down the walls and repair every broken heart on this planet till there's no longer fear.
Walls can't hold us in. Fear can't keep us down. Love will rise again. Yeah, it's rising right now. We shall overcome.
Every time I think it's gonna take much longer,
We shall overcome.
every time I question, am I getting stronger?
We have just begun.
Gonna make a change, we gotta push much farther.
We shall overcome.
We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. Young Gandhi couldn't fathom how to deal with himself when he was thrown off the train and the pain that he felt. Mrs. Parks disrespected, dragged into jail because of the color of her skin, organs, tissues, and cells. One day, a young girl was shot on a bus by a man, a terrorist, part of the Taliban. He said, on this land, you have no right to stand for what you believe in. Girls have no chance here. Well, now, that's just the story of three souls who shook our planet after being down on their knees. And it's not gonna stop. Those seeds have now become trees, and as human beings, we'll keep on digging till we find peace.
Yeah, the cynics always say that nothing ever changes. The human nature's bound to stay the same. But it couldn't be more plain that violence never pays, injustice never stays. It's bound to fade away. What if history awaits? What if today's the day? So let's all lead the way. We shall overcome.
Every time I think it's gonna take much longer,
We shall overcome.
every time I question, am I getting stronger?
We have just begun.
Gonna make a change, we gotta push much farther.
We shall overcome.
We shall overcome. Come on now. Longer.
We shall overcome.
Every time I question, am I getting stronger?
We shall overcome someday.
'Cause I'm feeling it deep in my heart.
Deep in my heart.
I do believe.
I do believe.
put your hearts together. Here we go. Woo! I knew it. God had a plan for us to do it. To hit rock bottom before we rise and continue. To first learn greed before we learn to be human. To do wrong deeds before we learn to spread beauty. There's always a plan, and now it's time to take a stand for the right of the planet, every woman and man. We ain't gonna stop, only growing our demands for all beings to feel peace in every heart and land. Thank you, Lord, for the strength and the courage to bring us together and keep our souls nourished. These tough times will only drown in our chorus, cause we all believe that the truth is before us. We shall overcome this pain. We shall overcome this day. We pray for love to lead the way.
We shall overcome some.
We pray for love to lead the way.
So welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that. Now it is my absolute joy and honor to introduce What's the Buzz, our announcer, Buzz Noe, with the announcements.
Thank you very much, Reverend Pam. And as we know, the corona pandemic is still keeping us apart, but that does not detract from our heart, which generates the love that we seek. So here's what will keep us connected this week. Monday Mindfulness will continue tomorrow morning with morning meditation with Reverend Pam. That'll take place on Facebook Live from 9 to 9:45. So come on in and begin your day by bringing your spiritual being into play. And new classes on Facebook and Zoom will be starting up on the Monday, the 15th of June. Monday morning from 10 to 12 on the 15th, there'll be a Zoom discussion of Faith, Trusting Your Own Deepest Experience, a book by Sharon Salzberg. And then Monday evening will be the comeback of the writers group. They'll be gathering on Zoom on the 15th from 7 to 9 p.m. And this corona thing is scary indeed, but your personal journey will make a good read. And we are once again asking for donations, whatever you could give to our center, help us get through all of this as well. And you can do so online through the website for the center, which is right here, and you can also find it. Scroll down and you can just click to donate and do it all right there online. Of course, you can mail and use credit cards as well. So thank you for donations. And two other places that we would really appreciate your generosity that are helping everyone out through this whole pandemic crisis. One is the Ventura County Rescue Mission, and there's their website there. And the Ventura County Food Share is also helping everyone out, and their website is here. And they're also on our Facebook page if you don't get a chance to copy them now. So thank you very much for your donations, and thank you for your generosity. And we're wishing you a happy Memorial Day. Tomorrow is Memorial Day, so please keep safe and stay 6 feet away. And it is on this day of dedication that we honor those who have served our nation. So thanks for listening. The announcements are done. And now we move on to a special someone whose birthday is Tuesday, when we will celebrate her 3/4 of a century of feeling great. As a performer, as a wife, and a beloved mother, she's been serving humanity like no one other. Our practitioner of the day, Reverend Lynn Chaplain Noe. So here she is, my wife, and now I must go.
3/4 of a century. Thank you so much. Oh, I think I need a rest now. Okay, first I want to start by reminding everybody that you can go on csl-pleasantvalley.org and check out our practitioners and call our practitioners or communicate with them for treatment, for prayer, for inspiration, for guidance, or just an ear. They might be happy just to listen to all of your good news, especially during this time of COVID. So use your practitioners. That's what we're here for, to be there for you. So I love today's theme, which is the path made clear, which is very important to me right now because I have a loved one, someone I love very much, who's been accepting guidance and who's going literally across the country to start a new life for himself in Texas. So that's a huge adventure. So he's already on a divine path. Well, we're all experiencing something right now with the time of COVID. And we're all of us on a path. We're accepting guidance, and we're getting more focus on our pathway. Each of us is on our journey with our own guidance system, our own mode of travel, our own baggage. But what is really important is the destination. And I know that right now, that the further we move away from our comforts, the deeper we go into the true destination, which is into our soul and who we are. So that our destination is us. And we know that it's an infinite journey. So I have some quotes I want to read to you, appropriate to this wonderful theme of a path made clear. First of all, and this is from a very, very deep thinker, trust what is bringing you joy. It's taking you someplace. That's by Kenny Loggins. Isn't that lovely? And then, and this is kind of a long one, the heart of the teaching, which of course is science of mind, is that you are the beloved one. You are the very center of the universe. You are that perfect reality, no matter what you've done with it, no matter what you think of it, you are still that. That's the truth about you. Revealing this truth is the reason you came into existence, and it is the only reason for being in this existence. And that's by Harry Morgan Moses. And my last quote, of course, it's the biggie from Buckaroo Banzai. Remember, wherever you go, there you are. So on that path that's been made clear. So let's have a centering treatment now about that destination. So close your eyes. We've already had a wonderful, wonderful treatment by Reverend Betty Ann. So we're moving divinely into that center of our being. And as I close my eyes, I'm instantly aware of a power and a presence, a way of life, a way of being. This is all infinite intelligence, divine intelligence, love, life. You can call it God. And I know with absolute certainty that I'm one with this divine source. I am the divine individualized expression of all that God is, all that spirit is, all that is. And knowing this oneness with source, then I know that when I am on my path, and I most certainly am always on a path, that this path is made clear with focus and certainty because of my awareness of my oneness with source. This path that I am on leads me to the divine destination of who I truly am, my true nature, which is divine, absolutely divine. And so I also know this for everyone, everywhere, for all life, all life. As I walk out of my door today safely, I experience the eucalyptus trees and the sun and the grass and the squirrels and the birds. And I'm walking with my wonderful dog, and my cat follows me. And this is all nature. This is my true nature, one with all that is. And this divine destination reveals so many wonderful travel partners on this journey, for which I am so grateful. Grateful for everyone in my life, the great blessings of this spiritual center, and Reverend Pam and Reverend Betty Ann and everyone involved. This is my home, where I am the most comfortable, where I have the courage to travel deeply into my soul. I'm grateful for these loving truths. As I release them now into the law of mind, I let mind take care of the details while I enjoy my beautiful, expressive, creative journey. And together we say, and so it is. And so it is, wow, my pleasure to introduce a man that I've known literally all of his life, Daniel Berkman. Take it away, Danny.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Mom. Speaking of Mom, actually, I'm going to play a song I wrote called Call Your Mother. And I wrote this for Mom, and it's her birthday on Tuesday, and so this goes out to you. It can also go out to all the mothers in the world, and it could also be a metaphor for Mother Earth as well. But anyway, this is called Call Your Mother. Nothing lasts forever. And nothing stays the same. So many saints and sinners have been buried with their names. I'm not here to lecture you. I know I'm preaching to the choir. There's one thing you all could do to raise the vibration higher. Call your mother, call your mother. She's been there since day one. Call your mother, call your mother. And she's there for you. So many world distractions, and the drive towards success. Nobody brings us back to life like the one who knows you best. Call your mother, call your mother. She's been there since day one. Call your mother, call your mother.
Oh, Danny. Oh, that I'm in tears. Number one, who did the vocals on the background?
That was all me.
Oh, honey, I'm just in tears, and I'm in tears for many reasons. First of all, the honoring of your mother for her birthday, which is Tuesday, and it is so great to have you together on, virtually at least. And then the other thing is, was it also not just honoring your own personal mother, but the Mother Earth? Did it have that a universal meaning to it, the song?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
mean, yeah.
I'm just thank you. I feel like, well, okay, that's it, that's the service right there. It's so deeply moving, so thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for
So
having me.
oh, well, we'll see you one more time before we say goodbye, but oh,
That's
just
right.
amazing. How can people buy your music? Go to your website.
Yeah, you can go to danielberkman.com, or you can go to danielberkman.bandcamp.com. Bandcamp is actually a site where all my albums live, so that's probably the better place to go for a direct musical experience.
Oh, okay, and from now on, when you're on, we'll put your website up on our newsletter, on our email newsletter. Thank you, sweet. Thank
Great.
you. What a blessing.
You're welcome.
So now it is time for me to introduce our talk and introduce our wonderful she is our lead of all of our spiritual practitioners. So she's the lead practitioner at the Center for Spiritual Living Pleasant Valley, and that's Pamella Bailey. And it's so wonderful that you're with us today. Thank you for being with us. And so the talk is about We Remember. And it is because of Memorial Day. And it's also not only honoring all of the fallen heroes from all of the wars throughout history, but now also all of the heroes, the frontline heroes and heroines, and also those who have that nobility, that calling for something greater right at this point during the COVID. So I'm going to start with a quote, and then I'm going to pass this on to you, Pamela, to take it from there. And it was from a movie. I'm sure it's a famous quote, but I don't know who said it. And it was from a movie about World War I, and a soldier comes back blind. And not only does he come back blind, but he is talking at his friend's, another soldier, a fallen soldier's funeral. And he reminds us about what it's all about. And what he says is, we do not fight for a flag or a country. Rather, we fight for the person to the right of us and to the left of us. And it brings it back to that humanity. And this fight for clearing the COVID is not about it's about restoring humanity to its spiritual magnificence from every level that I know of. And I know there's so many heroic stories that we can talk about. And I thought I'd let you start with one, Pamela.
Well, thank you. And I just want to put in a little statement here, and that is that I believe that all who answer the call to serve and who are in the armed forces or the Coast Guard or our reservists, I think they all deserve our honor and recognition today. And I'd also like to give a shout out to Buzz, who was a fighter pilot in the Air Force. And so when I was in San Diego last year, a friend and I went and we toured the USS Midway, and he landed on that carrier. So that was pretty exciting. And hi, Buzzy. So actually what I wanted to talk about was my dad. We were kind of talking about the heroes we remember. And so this is a story about my dad, and it's also a story about me. And it has to do with what was happening during World War II. My parents got married in 1941. And that says that they were married quite a while. And one of the things is, I'm certain that a lot of you are familiar with family stories, those which you had to listen to as a child, whether you wished to or not, and you had to listen politely. And actually, my mother was somewhat given to drama. And it's always, she was the heroine under fire in these dramas. And those were the ones that made me want to leave the room, but I couldn't. And there was this one about how I came to be, which was the story that they had gotten married in 1941 and they didn't want to have a child and have my dad go off to war. So they were waiting, and they waited and they waited and they waited and they waited. And then early 1945 came and they decided they didn't need to wait anymore. Now, this, of course, is a story I only heard as an adult. And what happened is they decided that they were going to start the family. And the next morning, my dad got his greetings. Now, that wasn't the intended outcome at all. And in those days, communication wasn't what it is now. We don't know instantaneously what's happening everywhere in the world. There weren't computers, there wasn't an internet. All the news was in the newspaper, and it took sometimes days for all of it to get there. In any case, in later years, I have decided that maybe my mother, maybe her drama queen story actually, it truly was real for her. So here she is. She's married to someone who's getting drafted. They had to go to Texas, I believe it was, for his training. She's in a city where she doesn't have family support. She had some loving neighbors, and she's pregnant. And now he is on a ship bound for Japan. So two things about that. One is my dad's color when he was on any ocean vessel was green. And to be going across the ocean in a troop carrier was horrible for him. But think about the context of World War II. And he was to be in the invading force. When they invaded Normandy, the casualty rate was about 50%. Now, the Japanese were known for being really fierce warriors. And my mother actually was terrified that her husband wouldn't come home. So, of course, the drama of him being gone and not having anybody there and all of that, I had a certain attitude about it. And it was only as an adult, much later, I realized, oh my goodness, because he was on that troop carrier when they dropped the bombs on Japan, the war was over. He was now in the occupation force. However, that wasn't immediately obvious to people at home. And so, because I have the advantage of looking back and having perspective, I didn't see it as the horrible thing it was. And to think about somebody being alone with a baby and no family support in a city that wasn't her hometown, yeah, it was hard. And so actually there were two heroes in my family around that. One was my dad for going and serving, not knowing what it would be, and then coming home safely, thank goodness. And my mother for going through having a child and not knowing and living in that uncertainty. And we certainly at this point are very familiar with how disconcerting, how uncomfortable uncertainty is. So back to you, Pam.
Oh, well, it reminds me also of my father-in-law. And what I like about all of these stories is it's not about the personal, it's the personal that goes into something greater. They choose to do something greater, and there is a choice there. There's lots of things they could have done to even get out of that at that point at the end of World War II. My father-in-law, Bob Geagan, and I don't think he was in the Normandy invasion, but he was in France in World War II, and he never wanted to talk about the war. He was one of those people that also emotionally it was just so difficult for him. But he told this one story when I was in my 40s, and no one had ever heard it before. And then there were lots of letters to support who he was. He was an amazing man and very low key, great sense of humor. But in France in World War II, in a foxhole with all of his troop, they were pulling straws more or less to see who got the short straw, to take a grenade and run across a field and throw it in a German foxhole. And this is what he said. He said, don't bother. He said, I'll just do it. We're going to die no matter what. And he didn't see himself as a hero at all. He went to throw, he ran across the field under fire and everything else, went to throw this grenade in a foxhole. And he was just dumbstruck because all these young men that looked just like him were in that foxhole. And he did what he had to do in this moment. He had to fight, and he threw it in, and he saved his battalion, his troops, and everything else. And he did get, I think it's a silver, I don't know what star he got. I thought he got a Purple Heart, and he said, no, Pam, you have to die to get a Purple Heart. But he never wanted credit for it because he didn't see it as being brave and heroic. And so it reminds me of Arjuna and Krishna. And there's the story of Arjuna and Krishna, and their king, their father was a king, and he was blind. And this was told in the Bhagavad Gita and written, I think told and then recreated by his secretary. And so his cousins, Arjuna and Krishna's cousins, were going to go to war with them. And Arjuna just didn't have the heart to go to war with them. And so the father, the king, made Krishna the chariot leader and the chariot driver for this assault. And Arjuna refused to go at first. And then Krishna revealed who he was at that time. He was the divine aspect of Brahman, the absolute super soul. And he was the brightest aspect on the planet. Almost, it was the Christ energy through Krishna that showed up and said, no, we have to do this, because basically the cousins were going to take all the land and keep it to themselves. And Krishna said, we have to fight for something greater here, even though it's your cousins. We have to step up in our nobility. And in those decisions, they're so hard, but yet you have to look at the greater good of the outcome. So they fought the cousins and won. And again, it was stepping into that nobility and integrity under great strain of seeing the humanity that was also affected. So those are the stories that always just catch my attention.
Is it back to me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Yes, and so I just back to Bob Geagan not wanting to speak about what happened when he was in France. I think particularly that generation and before, those people, they called it shell shock, and they don't talk about their wartime experiences because they were so traumatic. And in the realm of heroes who go to serve their country, who say yes, and who have to do things that are really difficult, like Bob Geagan throwing that grenade. I have a couple of other family members who weren't as fortunate as my dad, who just ended up being in the occupation force. And so one of them was my uncle, who served 2 tours of duty in the Navy, and he was at Guadalcanal during World War II. So we all know from our history that that was a really hard time. And then I have a cousin who's a little bit older than I, who did 2 tours of duty in Vietnam, and he was on the helicopters in conflict. What I can say is these 2 men who were in my family, they showed up, they did what was there to do for their country, and it scarred them in ways that it was obvious to see. They all their lives, they struggled with things, and now we call it PTSD, and there are some treatments. But what I can say is there are thousands of those heroes who said yes and whose lives have been impacted subsequent to that, but they said yes to that greater good. And so this is a day where we honor everyone who said yes, but particularly those whose price that they paid was high. So thank you.
Oh, yes. And thank them all. And I want to honor Buzz too, because he's with us. And he was in it at a time when that was very precarious. And this is not to be a downer, But but what we are now knowing is that we are in a situation where we are taking precautions as much as possible, because more people have been killed by the COVID, way more, like 50% more so far on the planet than Vietnam altogether. And that was really scary, really, really a scary time. And again, we're asking to be to show up in our own nobility and integrity. There's one more story, and I'm going to be really brief about it. But I was in, some of you know this story. I was in Austin, Texas with Spencer, and my cousin Bonnie and her daughter were shopping down the road, and we witnessed a horrible car accident. It was a 3-car accident, Spencer and myself. And the one car had gone down a road, and the woman was trapped and her airbag was in there. And I'm just going to make this really brief. Spencer went and pulled that woman out. Her car wouldn't turn off. And so he went and pulled that woman out and turned her car off. And it was something I went, wow. And he saved her life in essence, because, and I thought in that moment, you know, nobility comes from the soul, from the deepest part of the soul. I don't want to embarrass Spencer, but it really does. And there's that integrity and nobility within all of us. If we ask and we go deeper and we find out who we are and how we show up in our everyday life, it will show up for us and in us and through us. So those heroes that I see now, including the male people that are touching things all the time, and the grocers. And I just want to point out that there is nothing on this planet that we do have, eat, or anything else that is not touched by a worker that probably makes very little money worldwide to ensure that our shelves are stocked, our cars are well made, everything is done. And yet we don't see that worker, the common worker, as the hero, but they are. They're trying to support their family and do what they need to do. So I just honor all the nurses, all the health technicians, all the firemen and fire people, and everything who have stepped up to create a new wave of nobility and integrity. And looking, as like that first quote I had about the soldier who said, we look to the man to the left of us and the right of us, and putting it in that category of humanity, not the job itself or anything else, but things that we do from our heart to not only take care of ourselves, but to take care of that larger humanity, and that supports us in so many ways, in that divinity. We're all that one soul, that one divine soul expressing perfectly. So I just want to honor all of them. What do you have to say about that? Pamela?
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
By all means. Honor it all. Be grateful for all of it. And each of us every day, in being careful and in being loving to our friends and neighbors in our exchanges, are doing something, as opposed to, oh, how we can be heroes is do nothing. Well, we can positively pray, we can positively love, we can positively reach out, and we can be a force for good in this time.
Ditto. I agree. And I just want to also thank my neighbors and who have done so many wonderful things. And I have done very, very little. I've had a few air meetings, you've been in them, and where we distance ourselves, which is so joyous to be even out in nature, as Lynn said, hugging trees and being out in the wonderful surroundings where we live. We live in paradise. We're so lucky. We live in, there's other places you can live that are just as gorgeous, if not more gorgeous, but we live in paradise. So I'm so grateful. So in closing, I just want to honor all those who have stepped forward in not really knowing what all of the outcomes of the stories we told. We did not know what the outcome would be. They did not know what the outcome would be. And we know that with each evolutionary circle, as I say, with each evolutionary circle, it goes out higher and wider as we awaken to that greater consciousness of knowing that we are immortal, We are eternal. We will be here forever. And every minute on this planet that we listen to that higher good and know that it is the highest good for all involved in our decision making creates that world that works for everybody. So I just want to go out on that note. Anybody else want to say anything before I go out? No? Okay. So I just want to say I love each and every one of you, but we now introduce Danny again, and I'm so excited that he's with us. I'm ready to cry again. Thank you. Danny, it's your, take it.
Take it away.
Yeah.
Well, I definitely want to honor the all the people who have served in the forces, and so in so doing, honor Buzz, and also my biological father John, who was in the Marines as a musician. And so I'm going to just do a little improv here with some of the toys that I have here, and start off with something like.
Danny. Thank you so much for being with us.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
And we love your dad. I know he's with you. Oh my God, he's in and through and as you. What an amazing person. And also, I want to honor Ralph Brennan, who met our assistant minister, Reverend Betty Ann Brennan, while he was in the service in World War II. And they've been together ever since. And I think it's going on 60 years now. So wonderful.
65.
65. Thank you. 65 years. You should be the one that's giving marriage lessons, relationship lessons, Betty Ann. Anyway, please tell him thank you for us too. We would really appreciate that. So now it is our time to do our offertory. So if you can read this, this would be great. Together, divine love blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is, and that's
the
great.
way it is.
And before we actually close, first of all, I would like you to know that your sacred donations are appreciated more than you'll ever know. And we're keeping you up to date. June's coming up, and it looks like we will be opening for other things, of course, following all guidelines. Our mailing address is CSL Pleasant Valley, 221 East Daily Drive, Suite number 1, Camarillo, California, 93010. And if you go to our website, which is www.csl-pleasantvalley.org, you can get our address and lots of other information, and also our email address is there. And again, call directly into our line. You'll find all those numbers on our website, and leave a prayer request, or do as Pamella Bailey did, send us an email and we will get back to you, because it is our great honor to pray for you, and knowing that God is, as I stay in the I am personally, and all is good. So now we're going to do a song we've done before, but it's so, first of all, we use a lot of Nima Patel and Daniel Nahmad, because they have given us their music, Empty Hand Music's, free of royalties. But this honors our new COVID people. So, oh, did we already play that? Oh, we already played that. So, no, we didn't. Please play Superhero at the very end, honoring our COVID first line responders.
I always wanted a red cape on my back. I always wanted to be the best in my pack. I always wanted to be known to be good, to be the hero of my own hood. If I could just fly, I could save everyone. Stop all the wars so nobody's gotta run. All the killing, all the crimes, pain and suffering. It's getting tougher to be buffered from it all. Are we gonna make it through? Is he gonna fly back in? Cause if he don't come right now, I don't think good will win. Time is running now. Do we wanna wait for him? Or is it our time now to bring the good back in?
We don't have to leap tall buildings.
In a single bound,
There's a lot of good that we can do.
standing on the ground,
We don't need a jetpack suit.
take us to the clouds.
It's up to me and you, right here, right now. Superhero, na 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 na. The superhero, whoa 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 whoa. Superhero, na 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 na. The superhero, whoa 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 whoa.
The world is full of so much pain, and though I can't fly, I can do my little part here before I die, yeah. I may not win the Nobel Prize, but at least I can try to be a little more kind, spend a little more time in my changing life, yeah. Like giving a hug when when somebody is down and feeding the soul when there's nobody around. And small things that can change the sound and the vibe of the spirit that can change a town. And started small, now it's touched the crowd. The crowd is growing, now the word is out that if we all do our parts, we can touch the clouds. Without a cape and a mask, we can touch the clouds. Yep.
We don't have to leap tall buildings.
In a single bound.
There's a lot of good that we can do.
Standing on the ground.
We don't need a jetpack suit.
To take us to the clouds.
It's up to me and you. Right here, right now. Superhero. Na 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 na. We're superheroes. Oh, 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 oh. Superhero. Na 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 na. The superhero. Oh, oh, oh.
It's the smallest things that make a difference, and all the power's locked within us. All we gotta do is find the key and turn the latch and set it free. Yeah, we don't need to be fast and strong, cause a kind word can go a long way. Help someone whose faith is gone to get back up and carry on. Maybe it's too hard to understand, think it's too much for us to handle, but I promise you that you can, cause you don't need to be a Superman.
We don't have to leap tall buildings.
In a single bound.
There's a lot of good that we can do.
Standing on the ground.
We don't need a jetpack suit.
To take us to the clouds.
It's up to me and you.
Right here, right now.
We're superheroes.
Feeding the soul when there's nobody around.
We're superheroes.
And the vibe of the spirit that can change a town.
Superheroes.
The crowd is growing, now the word is out that if we all do our parts, we can touch the clouds. Without a cape and a mask, we can touch the clouds. Yep.
You so much for being with us. I love each and every one of you. Have a great, great, great Memorial Day. Whether you're air meetings or whatever it is, just hold on to that high consciousness of who you are and the nobility that is already seated within you. The seat of the soul is there. You just have to tap into it. So I love you. God is the presence and the power. Anybody else want to do an out here?
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Is Danny's already gone. Where's Lenny and Danny are gone. So have a great, great day. Namaste. Peace out. Love each and every one of you, and see you in meditation tomorrow morning. If you could, you're so desiring that. It's live on Facebook at our center. Mwah. Thank you all. Thank you.